J.D. Hayworth, joined by my former congressional colleague, Representative John Mica of Florida, who is joining us by phone. John, we will get back to the Secret Service and possible successors to Julia Pearson in just a minute, but I would be remiss if we did not talk about now the case of the case of Ebola that has been discovered on American soil in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. What is your take on what has transpired, and what kind of public health threat do you think this might become?
Well, again, I don't know all the details, J.D., but I think that the public needs to know. And one of the things that concerned me is that they weren't releasing the flight or the passenger information of the plane that the individual who contracted Ebola came on. We've got to keep this process open. We've got to make certain that we're secure, the traveling public is, and we've got to stay ahead of the game. There are a whole bunch of measures that need to be put in place immediately. There is equipment that can sterilize these planes. Any plane coming out of that area should be required to have that decontamination. A whole bunch of just common sense things that need to be put in place, I think, immediately.
Well, John Mica, part of your portfolio in Congress has been dealing with transportation and American air carriers. Do you believe all airlines from the United States should suspend service to West Africa?
No, but again, I've seen the technology. They can hook up to these planes, decontamination. You can also check passengers when they come off. There are scanning devices, all kinds of things that can tell us if someone, is suffering from it. So some of those things, though, should be put in place for planes coming out of those areas or transiting through those areas. So need to stay ahead of it. The worst thing we could do is let this spread in the United States, and the quickest way to do that is not protect us from the planes and passengers that are coming from the infected region.
John, several more details are coming out about this man who came back from Liberia and then showed his symptoms. Apparently, he's been in contact with a dozen school children, maybe 80 people overall. So those folks are going to have to get checked. But are you satisfied with the way the director of the CDC has been coming forward? Has he really told us what we need to know?
Well, again, I don't think so. I think it would be good to release the information. It's important to the people that were on the plane, children that may be impacted, and I think the public has the right to know. The second thing is, again, equipment should be in place. I've already seen it tested before when we had bird flu. I know that we've got the equipment to decontaminate the planes. I know that we have the equipment to test passengers as they come off. They can even check their body temperatures just walking by a scanner and find out if someone does pose a problem. But they're just common sense things that need to be put in place, and sometimes the government agencies don't operate on that basis.
Fair enough. With the 2 minutes that remain, let's bring it back full circle to the Secret Service and who will succeed Julia Pearson in the long term. Interesting that yesterday in the Washington Post, before her resignation was even announced, one guest columnist suggested your former Florida congressional colleague, Colonel Allen West, saying someone from the outside needs to head up the Secret Service. Maybe it's not Colonel West, but should it be an outsider brought in to change the culture of the Secret Service?
Well, I don't think it should be a political patronage appointment by the president. I don't think, with due respect for my former colleague, we need to have someone without the credentials. I thought Julia Pearson had excellent credentials. She went in, her hands were tied. She wasn't able to hire and fire. She wasn't able to keep people in management positions, and people were being promoted who were incompetent. She wasn't able to raise the standard of the agents.
So John Mica,
with on that information, and then they pummeled her this week, and that she paid a price for. But
she tried to change the culture, John. We got 20 seconds. I want to ask you this. She could not change the culture. Will the next director be able to change that culture?
Well, they have to be given the tools to, again, if you can't, people don't perform in the private sector, you get your butt fired. In government, you may get a promotion, and you certainly get to stay, and you're not held accountable. That system doesn't work.
And we will have to leave it there. Congressman John Mica, Republican of Florida, we thank you for your time.
Good to talk to you.
Great talking to you, sir. You heard what John Mica had to say. What's your take? Why don't you tweet me your reaction at Newsmax TV?